That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
All right, welcome to Around the Ring, episode 70. It is Sunday, November 6th, 2016. I am one of your hosts, Dave Brown. I'm joined with my partner, Floyd. How you doing, sir?
Kevin Owens is still WWE champ, so I'm doing very well.
Yes, yeah, I think we both predicted that. Did you write down our predictions? Because I didn't.
I did not.
Oh well.
I do remember when I was watching this show, I was thinking about what we predicted versus what was wrong and what was right, and we got a lot wrong.
I think we did. It was a good show though. So I think we'll start there. What were your overall thoughts on Hell in a Cell?
As far as the show in general, we'll talk about the specific matches in a second, but I believe they did a great job of differentiating between the three Hell in a Cells. I felt like we were watching three completely different matches, and we didn't see a lot of the same spots. So I thought that was really well, and the matches in between did a good job of getting me excited for the next match. And honestly, in my opinion, the match of the night ended up being that tag match.
The Cesaro Sheamus New Day match?
Yeah, I just really thought the New Day were about to lose.
Yeah, that was a really good match.
It had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. So, I actually thought I wouldn't say it stole the show, but it was a sleeper match where if you actually watched the show, that was probably the best wrestling match.
Yeah, I agree. It was just fun. I'm enjoying this dynamic of Cesaro and Sheamus as a tag team that hate each other. I think it gives them both something to do because they get lost in the sea that is Roman Reigns. So that's good. They're both doing something that's relatively high profile. Not as much for Sheamus because I'm not a big fan of Sheamus, but for Cesaro, absolutely. So I'm liking that, and they actually have a good chemistry together. I remember when Sheamus was still a babyface and Cesaro was the heel, and Sheamus had the U.S. title. They had a series of really, really good matches for the U.S. Championship, and one that was just a brutal brawl right before Sheamus dropped the belt to Rusev. So that was I like these two together. That it just again goes to show that the talent of Cesaro, he actually makes me enjoy watching Sheamus.
In any spot they put him in, he's excelled, and sometimes they've sold him short on it. But as a babyface, I think he could work. I definitely think he could work. Main heel, I don't think. I mean, when he does it, his heel character comes off a little forced. So that's why. But Cesaro, yeah, he's one of my top guys. He very much, in a way, because even though he's more entertaining and they do it in a different way, reminds me he has a lot of things that I love about him that I loved about Chris Benoit.
I could see that. Except he's more charismatic than Benoit.
Very much so. Very much so. He's actually carrying this team when it comes to charisma, and Sheamus kind of plays off of Cesaro's general lack of, like Cesaro's hate for Sheamus, and then Sheamus just kind of bounces it back.
Yeah,
but they are a great team. I agree. I love them as a team, even though I hate Sheamus as an individual. I'm like, he bores the crap out of me.
I agree. So let's talk about this show. So the show opened up with the Roman Reigns Rusev Cell match, which I think we had discussed, if I remember correctly, that we thought the Universal Championship match should open up because it was going to be just
that was our opinion.
Yeah, and I thought the match placement on this card was really weird. It was like the two matches that you and I had talked about as being, these are the great matches to put on after the Cell so people can go take a leak. They put together right after the Roman Reigns Rusev match. I'm like, why are you putting the two cooldown matches right here next to each other? I just thought that was very strange.
They wanted to cool them all the way down.
Apparently, yeah. And it worked. It was now I thought the Reigns Rusev match I thought was good. I didn't think it wasn't quite as brutal as I thought it should have been. But I can see why they did that, because the brutality actually was kicked up a notch with each subsequent match, and the Charlotte Sasha Banks match was definitely the most brutal of the three, I think. But yeah, I was expecting these guys to just pull out all the stops, destroy each other. They did somewhat. Of course, Roman Reigns won, LOL. But it was, I enjoyed it. What did you think?
I thought solid big man match in a cage. I'm truly trying to let go of my idea of blood, because I just know that's just not going to happen. I think it could have sold the match a little bit better. I would have even liked some hard hits where, like, you start maybe seeing an eye puff up or, something like that. Now, well, not necessarily blood, but some just true shots to the face. You know what I'm saying? Where you question whether that was real or not. The match had some good high spots. I think Rusev kind of needs a move, like a knockout move, as opposed to just the submission move, because it just sets up to make the ending look very predictable when he has to do, Roman Reigns is not tapping out.
Yeah,
absolutely. But if he had a move, maybe like a backbreaker or something like that, where he's like, oh my God, he hit his finisher, and then Roman Reigns kicks out, you might not know that, but you knew Roman Reigns wasn't tapping out.
Yeah, especially the way they had that placed which I loved the visual of the chain in Roman Reigns' mouth. That was great. Yeah. But the positioning of it, the way that he had him laid on the stairs, it was just perfectly placed for Reigns to easily get on his knees and lift up Rusev. But why the idea of somehow a submission hold is going to be more painful on a chair or on a table? I don't understand that concept, because they've done the Accolade on the chair, on the stairs. They've done Paige when she put the what's her
PTO.
Yeah, the PTO. Whenever she put that on, Charlotte on the announce table. It's like, what's the point of this? What are you? Okay, you're higher off the ground, and
it's just a visual,
Yeah, but I think Rusev does. He has a great super kick. He has a really good one. I'd like to see that get used a little more often as a finisher. But he needs some big move that looks like it knocks your ass out. Because the camel clutch is getting real stinking old.
See, it doesn't get old when there's wrestlers that will tap out, to me. Roman Reigns is not going to tap out. Just period. He hasn't. He's not. John Cena, just like John Cena doesn't tap out. So using a submission finisher on them pretty much tells you what's about to happen in the story. And that's all I'm saying, is that it's a move that makes the rest of the match predictable.
Yeah, that is true. And it is really annoying if Roman Reigns never taps out. That is, because I'm sorry, there's going to be something. There are moves that are going to hurt so bad. You're going to have to say, that's it, I'm done. And even John Cena needs to tap out at some point. I mean, at least John Cena's passed out in moves.
Yeah, the last person that really surprised me tapping out was Kurt Angle put Kane in the ankle lock, and then he did the late grapevine ankle lock where he lays down and wraps it up, and Kane tapped. And that was the last person that was kind of on my they're never gonna tap list that I remember tapping.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good one. Well, let's So after, was it, I'm looking at the order on Wikipedia, and I'm hoping this is right, because, I've slept since then, but with Bayley and Dana Brooke was next, right?
I think I truly, even on my rundown, only put the matches I cared about on it. So, so my list is incomplete because Dana and Bayley was just like, even the ending was so just John Cena-ish.
Yeah,
I shook off the arm pain and just still put my finisher on you, my lame ass finisher on you.
Oh my god! Yeah, and her finisher is really awful. I love Bayley. She's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world right now. Her finisher stinks. A belly to belly suplex, for Pete's sake. I mean, it's Big E throws people over his head with that move. Does he ever even go for a pin afterwards? No.
No. If she added the spin a la Shane Douglas or Magnum TA, I probably would like it more.
Or do it off the top rope.
She does that as the big one, but like I said, it's her version of the attitude adjustment. It's just, whatever.
Yeah, and then,
I just, if I was someone like Charlotte or Sasha, I would refuse to let that move beat me. I mean, you can win by a roll away, but you're not going to beat me with a belly to belly.
Well, I know when Bayley beat Sasha the first time, I mean, she hit like move after move after move before it was finally hit the belly to belly and won.
Well, the thing about Sasha is she's so small and she's very good. It looked really devastating when Bayley did it because she got so high on the belly to belly. But like when on Dana, it looks like she barely gets her over. And I'm pretty sure it has something to do with those spaghetti strings for arms that Bayley has. But yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. Then did you have any thoughts on the Enzo, Cass, Anderson Gallows match?
The right team won. That's about it. But I mean, Enzo and Cass are going to be that team. They're the Sami Zayn of the tag division. They don't have to win for people to love them.
Exactly, as noted by their gigantic reaction the next night on Raw. We then had the Universal Championship match. Kevin Owens defending against Seth Rollins in the Hell in a Cell. This was really good.
Yes, and I think this was the most different of the Hell in a Cell matches.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, and I agree with you wholeheartedly what you said earlier that they did a really good job making sure all three of these matches were very distinct and very different. I loved the inclusion of Chris Jericho in there. The whole thing with the spot with the fire extinguisher was hilarious. Who was that? Owens,
yes.
And he couldn't figure out how to turn it on or aim it or something. That was great.
And he made it look like he accidentally sprayed the referee.
Yeah,
which was really cool. I would have liked it to be a little more controversial. I would have liked the cage to come up for no reason and Jericho to come over, so it would have built up more controversy between Mick and Steph.
Yeah, that's good. They did some good build up with that on Raw, on that mix segment, that segment. But we can talk about that in a little while. But yeah, this was, and you were right. The right person won again, and this. So this is two matches that for sure the right person won. I mean, Bayley beating Dana Brooke was the right move too, but no one gave two poops about that match at all. And honestly, I would rather Rusev would have won the U.S. title, but we all knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, we all knew that wasn't going to happen because for Rusev to win it, he basically would have had to make Roman Reigns tap, and Roman Reigns is never going to tap.
No,
yeah, he might pass out eventually. They might do it that way, but Vince's eggs are still in that Roman Reigns basket, and if anyone thinks any differently, they're stupid. He's trying a different approach to building him up now.
Right, and I mean, if anything, if you don't think that, just look at the Survivor Series graphic for Team Raw with Roman Reigns, the United States champion, in front and center in the middle, then behind him is the Universal Champion, Kevin Owens. Your top guy with your top title. But nope, Roman Reigns is the one. They're front and center, and they're not doing any this guy any favors. And the fact that apparently the feud going into Roadblock is going to be Roman Reigns against Kevin Owens. I mean, just unless there is shenanigans afoot and tomfoolery, which leads into the Kevin Owens Chris Jericho feud, this ends with Kevin Owens losing the belt and everyone wanting to vomit in a trash can because Roman Reigns will be a 4-time world champion, more than Mick Foley. Just let that sink in.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people that never thought Mick Foley should win the world title, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean...
Mick Foley, Sami Zayn. He was Sami Zayn. He was Enzo. He never needed to win the world title. Maybe once.
See, now I hope Sami gets a run as the champ at some point.
Oh God, I hate Sami Zayn so much.
What?
Yes.
Why do you hate? Okay, hold on. Stop everything. Just you got to explain it to me. What is wrong with Sami Zayn?
He is boring. He is dull. I mean, he does nothing. The most interesting thing about Sami Zayn is his music. Oh my God, I can't. Yes, the only thing interesting about Sami Zayn is his music. If you put the mask on him and make him El Generico again, I was entertained by him then. But the whole haluva kick thing, I'm just like, dude, what person, if you throw him in the corner, wouldn't automatically, hey, I know he likes to kick me when I'm in the corner, automatically just drop down and get out the way?
Well, I mean, this is where you suspend your disbelief because whoever it is was just dropped on their head by an exploder suplex.
And I get it. I just...
See, man, Sami Zayn is... Oh, okay. So, I love Sami Zayn. I mean, he's in my top 5 current favorite wrestlers.
Yes, I don't do the lovable loser thing.
Oh, see, I do.
I don't.
Maybe because I'm a loser, but so I identify with that.
No, I didn't. I wouldn't even say I identify with winners. I identify with people. I don't like his physique at all. I mean, he doesn't look. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's athletic and strong and all that stuff, but he does not look like he has a muscle on his body. It's just nothing about Sami Zayn appeals to me.
Okay, so did you enjoy the match at TakeOver Our Evolution where he beat Neville for the title in NXT?
No, I just accepted it as a fact that it was going to happen. I did enjoy the after part of that match.
You should see my face right now. Shocked disbelief. That's one of my favorite matches ever. My
friend Rusty, he literally cried when watching the Sami Zayn Nakamura match at WrestleMania, or at the TakeOver before WrestleMania. But me and Sami Zayn, and do I think his matches where Kevin Owens have been excellent? Yes, they have been amazing. Kevin Owens is the perfect foil for Sami Zayn, and that is great. But I cannot stand Sami Zayn. It's like when he's not on Raw, I don't even notice.
Wow.
I think honestly, you know what it is? It's just like, I like my wrestlers, and this is a big thing for me. I've mentioned this on the show before. I like my wrestlers when I'm going outside and I'm walking down the street and I'm like, I see that guy. I'm like, dude, that guy looks tough. I'm not saying huge. You ain't got to be 6'5", 300 pounds, but I like to know that if I felt a little froggy, I'm going to at least think about leaping. Oh, I'm going to fight Sami Zayn. I'm not going to have any other. I might even lose, but I'm not going to, no hesitation in the world of fighting Sami Zayn. Nothing about Sami Zayn makes me think he looks like a tough dude.
Okay. Yeah, so I can see that.
That's what I'm like. When I saw him, I was like, who is this guy? They let a fan wrestle? I didn't have.
Wow. See, yeah, that match he had with Neville where he won the title, I was in tears.
He seems to bring out that emotion for people that want him to succeed. But it's just like, even Neville, as sawed off of a midget as he is, Neville is put to... Neville is put together. When I look at Neville, I'm like, man, you look like you could maybe hurt someone, and I'm with that. Sami Zayn, just the most normal looking dude ever, and that's why I don't want to pay to see normal looking guys.
So, are you of the Kevin Nash belief that the moment when Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit won the subsequent titles that they did, it was a bad day for wrestling because they're smaller guys? And
no, absolutely not. Chris Benoit, I met Chris Benoit and I shook Chris Benoit's hand. Chris Benoit's hands, his hands were engulfed mine. I'm 5 inches taller than Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit might have been short as in stature, but his physique and everything about him, he had a look. Chris Benoit's face made you look like a man that really had nothing to lose. I would not fight that guy. Eddie Guerrero put on significant amounts of weight, and what was great about his story is that he generally won by cheating. So I was okay with that because a smaller guy can win if he cheats a lot. But the fact that Sami Zayn could legit beat anyone up, no, I can't wrap my head around that.
Wow. But see, so okay, but I look at wrestling like there's just like with Greco-Roman wrestling, it's not just, there's more to it than just fighting. So if it was just about straight up fighting, then yeah, in a street fight, Sami Zayn loses to damn near everyone.
But his style is more of someone, he throws a lot of punches and kicks, like he's street fighting.
Man. Okay,
yeah, I don't buy it. It's not like he's this great technician that keeps you on the ground the whole match and wraps you up. No, his is like he summons this superhuman strength somewhere and can kick you in the face and knock you out. Nah, doesn't work for me.
Now, would you be interested? Would you take a haluva kick?
Would I take a haluva kick?
Yes.
Oh, I wouldn't take a lot of moves, but yeah, I would. I would take a haluva kick. But like I said, I have a problem suspending my disbelief when it comes down.
Okay.
Like I said, if he comes off as extremely quick or whatever, he's like a Rocky character, a guy that just can take an extreme beating. And again, nothing about his physique, nothing about who he is makes me think, and that might be why people love him. But that's always going to be why I hate him.
Interesting. Okay. Well, man, it's going to take me a while to wrap my head around this. So,
I'm just going to say, another person just using another guy that doesn't have a wrestler's physique. Kevin Owens, right?
Right.
I'm just going to use him as an example. Kevin Owens looks like the guy at the sitting at the end of the bar that's just drinking his beer and not saying anything. And then you bump into him, and then he busts the glass over your head and destroys you. And Kevin Owens has a style where he cheats to win. So I can definitely see that. And he's a kind of a bigger dude, so you can see some power behind the punches. Because I've known big guys that weren't necessarily look muscular that, could really lay into you and could really lift. So Kevin Owens, I buy. I don't buy it. Like Sami Zayn looks smaller than some of the cruiserweights.
Damn. Okay, so just to take this logic that you don't buy him, and since we were talking about Bayley and her very bad finishing move, do you feel the same way about Bayley that you feel about Sami Zayn?
Absolutely hate Bayley.
Oh my God.
She does nothing for me. Like I said, she does nothing for me. Her arms are so skinny. I think Alexa's arms are bigger than hers, and Alexa is 5'1". Dana Brooke is very much bigger than her. I don't buy that the belly would hurt at all. I see nothing about Bayley. She's, like I said, some people love losers, lovable losers. So that's what Bayley is. She's going to lose. She's going to lose and lose and lose until she goes on a winning streak and win, and everybody's going to love them. But for me personally, never going to work for me.
Wow. See, because I'm also a huge Bayley fan. And,
I know.
And that the match where she beat Sasha, both the Iron Man match and the one at SummerSlam, tears. I mean, the story of those matches were just so amazing.
Yes, and the thing about it is, I give more credit to Sasha making Bayley look good than Bayley looking good.
Okay, man, it's gonna take me time to grasp all this. So, what about Johnny Gargano?
Huh?
What about?
I love Johnny Gargano. He works in a tag team. But if you were gonna put me Johnny Gargano against Samoa Joe, yeah, I'd have a problem with it. Now, if you want to put Johnny Gargano in the cruiserweight division, I'm okay with it. Hey, and actually, if you want to put him up against Nakamura, he can give Nakamura a shot. Because Nakamura's kind of a slender, tall dude. He doesn't look all super muscular. But yeah, Johnny Gargano and a Samoa Joe match should last about 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Interesting.
I'm just saying. I mean, there's a certain level of disbelief. But I grew up watching WWF. And it was the big hulking dudes. And you know what? I'm not a big hulking guy kind of person. I'm not like a Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman. I like how they look, but I'm not that kind of guy. I like somewhere in the middle. I definitely I love Seth Rollins' physique. Cesaro. Those look like wrestlers to me. They look like people that are in shape and work on keeping their physique. These are the people I'm going to look at and be like, oh, God, yeah, you can fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to think about it before I try to fight you. Well, Sami Zayn seriously looks like every normal dude ever.
Fascinating.
Does he not? I mean,
no, he does. He does. It's just.
I mean, he does. He's not tall, like extremely tall. He's not muscular. He's not nothing. He just looks. I'm like, if Sami Zayn is in regular clothes and walking down the street, I'm like, huh? That's an accountant. Maybe? No, he's got the beard. So he got the beard. So maybe he's like a foreman at a construction site. He's not the dude that does any work, but he's that guy. He just does nothing. Just like,
wow. Okay. So, what about Enzo Amore?
Love Enzo. Enzo's got a great physique, but I would never put him as a champion or anything. The reason Enzo works is because he's the mouthpiece for the guy that actually fights, who's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So where were we before we got derailed on this? I'm still in shock.
I think we were talking about Owens and Rollins, and somehow it broke off into Sami Zayn.
Okay, yes, Owens and Rollins. Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
And then, what do you think of the Kendrick Perkins match?
It's funny because there's a basketball player named Kendrick Perkins, so that was kind of funny that you said Kendrick Perkins match. But TJP, they don't know what to do with him. I mean, and honestly, I felt like it was simple with TJP. In his tournament days, he came off very cocky. He was dabbing. He was doing all these things. And it came off more as a heelish persona, right?
Right.
So the fact that they tried to make him a face, you could tell him he wasn't comfortable in it. The only thing he could go to is that he had this hard time going in. So what you need to do is put the title on someone everyone wants to see lose it. Now, Brian Kendrick, as old as he is the swarmy, I will do anything to win champion, which like I said, with someone, again, I know he's in the cruiserweight division, so it doesn't matter, but I buy it off somebody with a smaller physique. You have to cheat to win. So he cheated and he won, and it was perfect. Now, everybody's going to want anybody to beat Brian Kendrick. They're going to be begging for someone to be Brian Kendrick. So you have just made the cruiserweight championship and the whole company as a bigger vital part of the company. And it doesn't matter who it is. It could be Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander, whoever it is who eventually beats him. If they tell the story right, they're going to be a star.
I agree. That was I thought it was a really good match. Kendrick winning was the right move because Perkins has been dying a death as the cruiserweight champion, mostly because the booking has been so crappy for this whole division. But it seems to be turning around, because just to quickly talk about Raw, the Cruiserweight stuff on Raw this week was actually really good. The rematch, Kendrick just interrupting Perkins' intro when he was doing his "I'm going to stand and pose on the ring." On the turnbuckle, and coming out, and that promo he cut was great, and the match, and him just saying, you know what, I don't want to bother with this match anymore, I'm taking my title, I'm leaving, and then Perkins snapping and beating the crap out of him on the outside of the ring. It was like, finally we get some fire out of this kid, and the crowd seemed to be into it.
Because Perkins is a natural heel. I mean, he was a heel in James Storm's version of the Wyatt family in TNA. And it's just like I said, the cockiness, the dabbing, all that stuff comes off very heelish. And it could be face-ish also, but, you have to do it right. And they just tried to make him this underdog. And I'm like, he beat four of the best wrestlers in the world. He's not an underdog.
Yeah, no, and if that was the story they really wanted to tell, then Johnny Gargano is the one they needed to have win the thing.
Yeah.
Because you want the lovable, ultimate underdog babyface, that's, right out of the same template of a Bayley and a Sami Zayn. That's Johnny Gargano. Johnny Wrestling is the guy for that.
Yeah.
But I think I think the reason why he didn't go farther in the tournament was partly because they really want to do more with him and Ciampa as a tag team, which I'm completely fine with. Part of me says, keep those two guys away from Monday Night Raw, please. Let's keep them off Raw. Let's keep them safe down there in NXT. Okay. And then we had there was that 6-man tag match on Raw with. We're just going to jump around a little bit because it's a good segue to talk about everything Cruiserweight right now. That was a really good match, I thought. And I thought the crowd actually gave a crap.
Yeah, Rich Swann is over.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's over. And I think he's getting pushed. And I think if they do the TJP Brian Kendrick match again, they might do it again to give him his rematch. But Rich Swann, I think, is going to be the future of your Cruiserweight division because he's very energetic. He has the song that everyone loves, and he has the dance to go with it. It's when you're WWE on Raw and SmackDown, and you really are trying to get towards the kids in the audience, that's what they're going to draw to.
Yeah, and unlike whereas he's a guy that does the dancing and is fun and infectious and everything, where he has long-term potential versus, say, a No Way Jose, Swan just seems like a guy who loves to dance, and No Way Jose just seems like a gimmick. And with Swan, it's like, this is really this dude. And who knows, maybe No Way Jose is really, really like that, and people haven't given him enough of a chance yet. I think the two of them as a tag team on NXT has been a lot of fun. They feed off each other very well. But yeah, I look at the Cruiserweight division in general, and Swan is one of the two real standouts that I think have potential to move out of the division and onto other bigger things.
They have to develop Cedric Alexander's character, but I would say he could be it too, but they just haven't done anything to really differentiate itself.
I think that Cedric Alexander, to me, and he's also one of my favorite wrestlers and has been since I first saw him. He has world championship potential, as far as I'm concerned. He is so good in the ring, and he is so. You give him time in a match, and you have people just on the edge of their seats. Think of that match he had with Kota Ibushi. Now, granted, it's a match against Kota Ibushi, but still, that was one of the best matches of the year. And that at the end of that, he lost, and all of Full Sail just was in love with him. And that was one of the coolest moments you'll ever see. That's wrestling done right, So I see nothing but upside for both of those guys. If Cedric Alexander isn't at the very least challenging for a world title someday, WWE is screwing things up. So, anything else? Well, the cruiserweights are getting a show again.
I was just about to segue into that. The 205 Live that's going to be on right after SmackDown, which I guess it'll be shot at the SmackDown Live location.
So that's, I mean, I think a SmackDown audience is definitely a better audience for those. And if that means the guy who's writing SmackDown starts writing the Cruiserweight division, that's also a good thing. But it makes me wonder, what's going to happen to Talking Smack?
I think it's just basically going to be an episode of CWC. So you're going to see a lot more wrestling. And what it is mostly is you're going to get to see the wrestlers develop their characters more before Raw. So we give a crap about them when they debut. Like Drew Gulak, he's a really good wrestler. He's an amazing wrestler. Love his gimmick. But until he explains why he comes out there in that shirt, in that what is it, the jacket, and he, the warrior type of background of it, until you understand that, it just looks like a dude in a silly jacket.
True, and maybe we'll finally get Jack Gallagher back on our TV.
We may. I mean, they're going to have to get the roster more. Again, it's going to be an hour show that actually is awesome because, it seems like wrestling sometimes, like with NXT, a little less is more,
Yeah.
Yeah, like a little more of a smaller roster. And I've always was like, why can't Raw be 3 hours? Because I wanted more wrestling. And now I'm like, it should be 2 hours. It would be a better pro show. Or less is more.
Agreed. Now, the other big question, though, if this is airing immediately after SmackDown, probably filmed wherever SmackDown is, and Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves are going to do the commentary, which I think is awesome. That's going to be so much fun. What happens to Talking Smack? Is it going to go on afterwards? Because now that there's this Raw Talk, which is just Talking Smack wannabe show, which is fine because that's fine to do. But Talking Smack is amazing. Why are we gonna? I mean, that's my word.
I don't know why they would touch it, but I truly didn't look up what was going to happen to it. Maybe they push it later to after the 205 Live.
I don't think they've announced anything. I haven't seen any stories about anything. What's going to happen to Talking Smack other than. I think someone made a comment somewhere that it's not going anywhere. Yeah, Talking Smack is, honestly, the best non-wrestling product that they have right now. Oh, yeah, agreed. And I did, okay, I know we're about to get to the main event of Hell in a Cell, but did you watch Raw Talk afterwards? Because I didn't. I did, and Booker T ruined it. Was he worse than Jerry Lawler? I don't think he went a segment without saying he was a 5-time champion, something that he did or whatever, and it was just like you hear it all the time, and it didn't have the edge of SmackDown. Daniel Bryan's better because he has that kind of smarky type of attitude. Daniel Bryan comes off as a wrestling fan that thinks he knows everything, you know what I'm saying? And it actually looks better when he's trying to pull out. And if they don't give a good answer, he's going to go at them. And Renee and Daniel, actually, their chemistry is better compared to Renee and Booker T, because I don't think she can pull Booker T back as far. And Booker T went some ways that actually made it come off very uncomfortable. And like I said, it seemed like he was... It seemed... A lot of times with Booker T, it seems like he's trying to set up himself for another match instead of worrying about getting the people over, which is, unfortunately, which is his job, which I just don't think he's very good at doing. So it's basically the pre-show group. So it's Renee, Booker T, Jerry Lawler, and Lita, right? Yeah, Booker T was the one that was consistently up there. Jerry Lawler would leave when they had a guest. Sometimes Lita would leave when they had two guests. It was Booker T that played the Daniel Bryan role. Oh, that's awesome. And I love Booker T, man. He is awesome. But no, you need... What you need is a guy sitting there that does not give a fuck. Because
Yes.
you can tell Daniel Bryan does not care. He's like, oh,
They-
you want to fire me?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's like he wants them to release him. I'm going to say whatever it takes to make you release him. Like when he called John Cena out, basically saying that he doesn't post any of his social media stuff. And then John Cena's like, don't say that. Well, are you telling him not to say the truth? Because we know where you're not sitting there on your phone tweeting and Snapchatting and all that crap.
Yeah, because Daniel Bryan's like at the point they release him, he's like, New Japan, hello.
Yeah,
I want a match.
thinks he can still wrestle. So, yeah.
Which I'm really torn.
And he's an established name as Bryan Danielson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he shows up in Ring of Honor or New Japan, and Europe's the Final Countdown music hits, because that's the music he used to always use. People will lose their ever-loving minds.
Yeah, I'm like, he's not like some of these other wrestlers that didn't make a name for himself before he got there. You know the name Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson was the ROH World Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
Works.
Yeah.
Again, let me tell you, when Daniel Bryan first came in, and I knew him as Bryan Danielson, and I loved him in ROH, I was like, he is not going to work in the WWE. So, I'm wrong often, but I did not think he had a chance of working.
And he's also a lovable loser.
And that was the whole thing. He didn't lose a lot as Daniel Bryan. He was the tag champ. He was a world champion before the Yes Movement. He won a lot.
Yeah, but it was...
His first title, he was the first of the NXT people to become a champion.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't lose a lot. No, he didn't. He won. He wasn't... he's a lovable, normal person, but in the little time he was in the WWE, his run or whatever, he pretty much held every title.
He actually did. He held every title they had, because he held the world title, he held the WWE title, and then when those two titles were merged, he held the merged world heavyweight or WWE world heavyweight title. He was the Intercontinental Champion, he was the U.S. Champion, and he was a tag champion. So he was a absolute grand slam person.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Not a lovable loser.
But I tell you what, WWE did everything in their power to make people think he sucked and was a loser. They just
him being 5'7" did that.
Well, that and Michael Cole constantly telling you how much this guy sucks and he's a nerd.
Yeah, that goat face and all that stuff. That did it, but yeah, he won way more matches than he lost.
Yeah, true.
And usually when he lost, it was because he got screwed in somehow. He very much, like Sami Zayn, loses. He takes a pop-up powerbomb and loses clean to Kevin Owens. Daniel Bryan, I could probably count on my hands the time I remember him losing clean.
Yeah, good point. I defer to your greater knowledge, sir. We do have...
I'm just saying Daniel Bryan's definitely was a different beast. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they did. They pulled off making a multiple-time champion look like he had no chance.
Yeah, well, and they did it... He was successful in spite of WWE. I think that was in a lot of cases. They did... Granted, they put tons of belts on him, but it was really positioned where he shouldn't have won as much, and it was just he got over so much that they just kind of had to do it.
Yeah, and in person, it was the best WrestleMania I've been to, the livest crowd, and it was everybody that was there to see him. And I will say this, I think his star shined brighter than Goldberg's in that case. And so, I will always remember that with Daniel Bryan. And to me, every rule has an exception. And Daniel Bryan was definitely the exception to the small guy rule. But let me just say, he had to win me over. And a lot of how he won me over was his style. His style was so fast and frantic. I could see someone being very confused because he was constantly in motion.
Yeah, I can see that. See, I've never... And maybe because when I got into wrestling, I watched a lot of the NWA Saturday Night on TBS, and I had a VHS copy of WrestleMania 2, which is often maligned as one of the worst WrestleManias ever, which I'm not honestly going to disagree with. But
yes, it was. It was bad.
But the matches that I always watched over and over and over on that were the tag title match with the British Bulldogs and the Ricky Steamboat Hercules Hernandez match. And that combined with the smaller build people in the NWA, I think has lent me to really connecting more with people like Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, Johnny Wrestling, those kind of wrestlers. Because, I mean, you think Arn Anderson he's my favorite wrestler of all time. Not a big dude.
5'10", build to 6'2".
Yeah.
I agree. He's my favorite wrestler of all time too. That's the one place we agree. But to me, it's something about being that 5'10" to 6 foot type range versus being the 5'5" to 5'7" range. That is, to me, a significant difference.
Yes, when you're standing next to people, that is because yeah. Well, we've got one more match to talk about on Hell in a Cell before we get on to everything else going on this week, and that was the main event, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship, and this was, other than the ending getting a little goofy, I thought this was really, really, really stinking good.
I thought it was a great match with a very anticlimactic ending, and the only way for that match was to end. Even if you wanted to give Charlotte the belt the next night, the only way for that match to end was Sasha winning.
I think the reason why the match, the ending felt anticlimactic is that table that Sasha was thrown into twice was supposed to break.
Yeah. And
because she is like 5 pounds. And that was apparently the least rigged table WWE has ever put together because it just did not.
No, she's just really light.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just really light. And that's the whole thing. It sucks, but she's really, really light.
And it was at a weird angle too. It wasn't at the angle that it should be to break easily. Mm-hmm. So it was. There were a few botches during the match. I loved the beginning. I loved their entrances. I loved that brutal attack that Charlotte did at the beginning of the match. That powerbomb through the announce table was awesome. Sasha not giving up, and as soon when she heard them about to hand Charlotte the title, her saying no. It would have been been much better to have her sneak out a win at the end. And so that made that was head scratching having Charlotte win, other than if they're really wanting to build up Charlotte as having this undefeated pay-per-view streak for a very long time. Which if that is the case, and then I'm guessing she is going to be the sole survivor at Survivor Series, either pinning at the very end Nikki Bella or Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I wanted to say, there were so many better ways that could end, but I think, Sasha winning in her hometown, winning the title, doing her crying thing, she comes, the cage, they start bringing the cage up, then you have Bayley come out there and hug her, and this is the greatest moment ever. I even said at the end, have the men that had competed tonight come out and give them a standing ovation. That would have just been one of the greatest wrestling moments ever, and I felt like they whiffed on that.
Oh wow, I hadn't even thought of that. That is, I would have been crying like a baby. It would have been bad. Tears galore. It would not have been pretty.
Yeah, she pulls it off, and like I said, Bayley runs out there because of course they're going to try to build up the Bayley and Sasha eventual feud. She comes out there and she hugs her, and they have the belt, and they're crying, and then all the people that have competed in the Hell in the Cell and just come out there and give her a clap, and they just have that actual moment, and that would have been confirming that the women have finally arrived, and they just did it. She won the belt. I mean, Charlotte won the belt in a very anticlimactic way, and then they went off a screen, and then that was it.
I wonder did they run out of time? Did the show go over? I didn't even.
It's network, so you can keep showing. You cut off the pay-per-view people, and you like, hey, and you finish that and do all that stuff on the network. But instead, you go into Raw Talk, which is probably the most boring 25 minutes I've ever spent watching network, other than maybe like a couple of the ride-along things.
Ooh, I haven't even watched any of those.
Yeah, well, some of them are good, some of them are painful.
I have watched Table for Three. I watched a lot of those. I haven't watched all of them.
I watched every Table for Three.
Which has been your favorite?
My favorite, I think it was the X-Pac, Nash, and Holland. I think that was the three.
I don't even think I watched that one yet.
Yeah, I think that was my...
Okay.
Nash and Hall, I will say this, those two people I can sit and listen to talk to each other for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they've had this conversation like 100 times, but every time to tell the story, they light up about the time that they had together.
Yeah, you can tell that A, they're super close best friends, and B, they're both amazing storytellers.
And that's the whole thing, and it's just like I could sit there and listen to them talk all day. I watched the Nash and Hall thing with JBL. It was pretty much the same as the Table for Three. I mean, they told a lot of the same stories, and it was just I could listen to them talk at any time.
Well, that was Hell in a Cell. I think overall, I think we both agree it was an enjoyable show with some head scratching stuff. What'd you think about Raw on Halloween?
All right, highlights of Raw. I gave it a B that night, but going back and watching and kind of I give it a C plus maybe. It was just one of those things. They're building up Survivor Series, and the whole Goldberg and Brock Lesnar thing is just it's hurting my stomach. Because Goldberg is in amazing shape for a 50-year-old man.
And he can take a punch, apparently.
But Brock Lesnar has run through your entire company of 25 to 30-year-old in the best shape of their lives guys. I mean, you've made the gimmick. He is the monster, right? I don't buy Goldberg lasting any time with this beast.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Goldberg just starting off the match, spearing him real hard, getting him in the jackhammer, then Brock Lesnar immediately kicking out, and then the rest of the match is just Brock Lesnar beating the crap out of Goldberg. But I don't know. I think they're going to try to tell the story that Goldberg is on the same level with Brock Lesnar, and I know they don't like wrestling fans to overthink of it, but if Goldberg doesn't take at least 12 German suplexes, you have just crapped on the rest of your company. You just said basically no one in your company is on a level of 50-year-old Goldberg.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. How many Germans did Roman Reigns take in the match he had with Lesnar?
13.
13. So yeah, so Goldberg needs to take at least 12 to 13.
Yeah. And if you're going to give Goldberg the win in his last match, which a lot of people, I truly think that's what's going to happen, it has to be with a ton of shenanigans.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe whoever they're going to set up as Brock's next opponent comes in, and there's some tomfoolery. I don't know. This is one of those matches. This is a great marquee match for an event like Survivor Series. It is a spectacle match.
It's made to bring the casual fans in that never watch wrestling. Oh, I remember Goldberg. Yeah, I'll get that pay-per-view.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
I'll sign up for the WWE Network for 30 days for free. That kind of thing.
But it's this problem. They've written themselves into a corner with Lesnar by making him this unstoppable beast. Because in reality, he should probably be holding every single title they have. I mean, just because who's going to beat him? I mean, and they've done a piss poor job building anyone up as a potential realistic opponent other than Roman Reigns, which people don't buy because they don't buy Roman Reigns. You know, you could have built up a Cesaro. Hell, you could have had him have a short feud with Sheamus, because Sheamus sucks, but at least he is, you know, to use the size argument, he's about the same size as Goldberg or as Lesnar, and you know the guy can punch hard. So at least, and it would be something different. It's something we haven't seen a lot of. So
Yeah.
so that was some missed opportunities when Goldberg was the champion, and you know he defended it like all of 3 times for that 9 months or however long he had the belt. He should have had, you know, a short feud or a match with a Sheamus. He should have had a match with, say, a Cesaro or something. And that could have been used as ways to build up other people and to not make him look so invincible. Because it just... What happened to Goldberg in WCW when he was made to be this invincible beast? He got tased, lost to Kevin Nash, who then finger poke of doom nonsense happened. But
Maybe Brock Lesnar gets tased.
There you go. Scott Hall comes out and tases Brock Lesnar.
I mean, you know, I don't know if you've heard the rumors that they're building him versus Shane for WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
Shane tases him.
There you go.
And makes him lose or whatever. Shane makes him lose. But anyway, the match has to be the same boring crap we've been seeing with Brock Lesnar just beating the crap out of Goldberg, because you just can't. This dude hasn't wrestled in 12 years. No sport versus entertainment, whatever, can you leave for 12 years and come back and just be, I'm at the top of my game against someone that works out and runs 5 miles a day, lives and eats people for breakfast.
Exactly. Had this been 5 years ago, maybe we could buy it a little more.
Because you hadn't built Brock up to the level that you had. You had him win the WWE title in a squash match
against John Cena, of all people.
Yes.
And that was one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, but every match after that has gotten exponentially more boring. I mean, yeah,
because at some point Brock's not going to be around forever. You've got to build up the rest of your roster to look to be able to stand toe to toe with this guy, because it just becomes incredibly unrealistic. Which, yes, I know is ironic when we're talking about a fixed sporting event, but still, you've got to have some. This, of course, coming from the guy who loves Sami Zayn.
The moments in wrestling that you love the most are the moments that make you question if that was scripted or not scripted. Did he really hit him? Or where you don't know, where you question. And that wrestling is one of the few storytelling formats where that is an option, because you have such a open view into the backstage with them, that when they make you question, it feels better. When they shock you, when they do an ending you weren't expecting, that is the best, because you could know everything so much. Like when Charlotte beat Sasha, I was genuinely happy about it because I didn't see it coming. And to me, that was wrestling when I was young. I wasn't smart. I didn't know how the match was going to go in. I didn't know who was supposed to get over. So it was cool that Charlotte won and Sasha didn't, because all the writing on the wall said Sasha was going to win.
You're right, and maybe that's probably another reason why they did it is because every once in a while they like to switch things up. So to tell us, no, we don't know everything that's going to happen. Damn smarky fans.
Mm-hmm.
So what other things from Raw did you? Any other takeaways?
Enzo and Gallows was extremely lame. Man, basically it was what they used to do with women matches. They put on the Halloween match. They hit each other with hollow pumpkins and the runniest pumpkin pie I've ever seen in my life. And it was just, it's beneath Gallows and Anderson. That was my problem with that segment.
Yeah, I actually watched part of it. It was a way for a feel good win for Cass and Enzo that doesn't really hurt.
Mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything because there's kendo sticks. Cass was involved, so it was there was a good Anderson went through a table. I didn't find. I think what I found, for lack of a better term, offensive about it was the number of kind of botched moments that were there. But I mean, it's a throwaway match on Halloween, so
they didn't want to do it. You could tell that.
Yeah, I think all of them were like, "Are we really out here for this crap?" Now I did love Enzo and Cass's costumes, though.
Yes,
that was incredible. And I got so the microphones that they're having them use, I don't know if I like those or not. I mean, I know that's kind of a tip to the tattoo that Enzo has on his hand of a microphone.
Yeah, and old school microphones, yeah.
Yeah, but it changes the dynamic of the way they hold the mics, and I don't. It bothered me less this time, because the first few times I saw it, it was a little jarring because it's so different. But maybe I'll just get used to it.
And I don't think Cass should have it. I think Enzo should have the special mic, and Cass should have a regular mic. But that was just me personally.
Yes, yeah. Any other takeaways? I will say one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about New Day because I loved that. But in the Mick, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens segment, I love that they're really starting to lay the seeds for the Owens-Jericho split, because Owens looked so irritated a number of times with Jericho that he just, he did these little subtle things where he would look down or put his hands over his eyes, like, do a Captain Picard.
Yeah.
And I loved that. But yeah, New Day. So your thoughts on
Three Faces of Charles Wright was hilarious. That was, I just like, funny. It's like, for the Smarky fan in me that did not think he should be in the Hall of Fame or whatever, it was just like, it kind of just the credence that all the different characters he had played, and it was just kind of cool that they gave a shout out to him. I mean, New Day, they are the kings of the subtle, and he had just went in the Hall of Fame, so that was a cool shout out to old Papa Shango.
Oh, holy shit! I didn't even put that together. That was the same dude who played all those characters, wasn't it?
Yeah, Godfather, Papa Shango, and Kama Mustafa.
Wow. I knew they were playing three. I knew who the characters were. I just didn't put in my head that they're the same dude. That makes that segment even better. Oh my god, I love the New Day.
Yeah, it's like and I think a lot of it comes from Xavier, because he is the geek on the internet, and he has that site, so he loves it. He knows how people like there's little nods and winks at each other. So they never said it; they just did it, and you had to be a Smarky fan to get it.
I lost Smarky points today, man. I'm not as much of a Smark as I thought I was. I did love how they were going through the SmackDown roster of tag teams, and the Vaudevillains are like, who? Oh wait, they owe us a time machine. I thought was great, and the line when they got to American Alpha, they were like, we don't have anything bad to say about these guys.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
They seem like really good guys. They're really good in the ring. Uso booties, but yeah.
I was a little surprised. I wondered why they didn't do that in the ring. Other than, was that right after the Enzo Gallows match?
Honestly, don't remember the placement in the show, but I have it right after the Enzo Gallows match. So it might have been.
I bet they did that backstage, so it gave them time to clean up the ring.
Yeah.
Because, it's also with the cruiserweight stuff, it takes time. They've got to put the different mat on the ring. They got to do the thing to the ropes. So they always have to have something else going on. So,
but they got that down to a science.
They really do. That production team is just top notch. But yeah,
they do it in a way, even when you're there, you don't pay attention to it.
Wow, that's impressive.
You don't even notice it. It's like, I don't even notice. Oh, he changed the ropes. And I'm like, they did? because they do it so well.
Wow, cool. See, I haven't been to the last live wrestling event I went to was in 1995-ish. It was a Monday Night Raw in the Myriad, which is now, of course, the Cox Convention Center in Oklahoma City, and the Road Warriors were there. Shawn Michaels, I think it was the Shawn Michaels Triple H incarnation of DX, and I forget who else we had. Oh, we had awful seats. We were way freaking far in the back, but we should have just moved up because the place was relatively empty. And that was the first time that because you watch these shows on TV and the way they pan the crowds so often make it look like the place is packed, and then you can be in a building and tell that it is not packed, and then you watch it on TV, you're like, wait a minute, it wasn't that full. They did some tomfoolery with those cameras because it was not that packed.
Digitally adding fans.
I don't know about that. I think it's just the way that the shots they pick. Yeah, I don't think they'd go through that because that would be first of all, that would cost a lot of money, and two, they didn't really have that technology as good as they do now in 1995.
But the tarps, the black tarps that they use to tape off the sections that there's no fans in, definitely helps.
Oh yeah, and I think they're able to just focus on they can zoom in close enough to pan over certain sections that are full. And I think they were pretty good about, if there are people farther back, they'll let them move up into other seats. But yeah, it was the last live wrestling event I've been to, so it's been well over 20 years, and their production has gotten even better since then. It was good back then. But did you have any other takeaways from Raw?
Cool ending with Reigns and Rollins ending the match. Oh, yes, I did have a big thing from that was pissing me off. No selling the Hell in a Cell.
Oh, God.
The Hell in a Cell is supposed to be the most brutal, violent match, TLC and all that stuff. And I just remember when I was young, and I might even brought this up last week, I don't remember, the Hardys, Edge, and Dudley Boys. After their match at TLC, no way they could work a match the next night. They came out with the arms wrapped, and they were selling the injuries that they had during the match. They were limping. They could barely move. And to me, that's how you're supposed to do it. I mean, you had Rusev come out and get physical. You had Roman Reigns after I just went through Hell in a Cell and got the crap beat out of me, I can next night. It just to me, again, a way of WWE diminishing the idea and the strength of the cage match. And it's just the cage match you're not supposed to be able to work the next night. And if you do work the next night, it's a punishment, and you clearly lose the match because there's no way you were physically ready to wrestle that match.
Yeah, because I did see a couple minutes of Raw talk, now that I remember, and when Roman Reigns came out, and granted, it was right after the match, but you could tell he was hurt. He was beat up looking. But yeah, none of them sold anything. They just walked out, especially Roman, being super Samoa, walking out, and none of them. And that irks me to no end as well. It's like, oh, you guys were just beating the utter bejesus out of each other last night, and you're completely fine. I'd like to go get in a fight where I get the complete crap whipped out of me and walk around, walk into work the next day, look like I'm, nothing happened. That'd be great.
Yes. If I do 10 squats, the next day I'm going to be walking fight. And it's just like, so you just got slammed on some stairs, and someone had a chain around your neck pulling back and a camel clutch move. Oh, you're fine the next day. Whatever.
Yeah, and that kills the suspension of disbelief in wrestling. And WWE is notorious, not just after cage matches, Hell in a Cell matches, just in general. They're so bad about that. So yeah, that was really bad. What about SmackDown this week? I unfortunately did not get to see any of SmackDown this week. What did you have any big takeaways from?
What I try to do is I do try to put, so we don't have to go segment by segment. I try to do 5 things that I took away from the show.
Okay.
First thing I took away from it was Ellsworth is horrible on the mic, and his segment dragged on. I mean, I got what they were trying to do, but it just dragged. And that was one of the few times ever in SmackDown that I felt like that happened. And that's why it was so much more noticeable, because SmackDown has been such a good show and been so good about, timing and keeping you interested, that storyline, just that whole promo just drug on and on and on. But I got what they were trying to do. Randy and Bray Wyatt, my new favorite storyline. I am a sucker for affection. So they did the whole thing where Bray helps Randy win, and then they do this thing at the end where as Bray is hitting his knees and doing his follow the buzzer thing, Randy Orton gets on the corner and lifts his hands up, and it's like, and then he says follow the buzzer. It's just a visual on it with Luke Harper right behind him, was just so cool. It's like those 3 is a very formidable team, and they look like they were sowing the seeds. In a segment later, they look like they were sowing the seeds of dissension between Luke Harper and Randy Orton, which I'm also awesome with. Now, I would like it to go away a few months before it happens, because I would love for it to set up a Luke Harper maybe face turn where he wrestles more on his own, because I love Luke Harper as a wrestler. Again, he's one of those guys, he very much looks like an 80s wrestler, and Luke Harper, I would never ever try to fight in real life.
Oh God, no, yeah, Luke Harper is amazing.
He just looks scary. Next thing, I hear they're building this up to do an Undertaker versus Randy Orton match. That's what I've heard.
Interesting.
Is that Undertaker, is going to come back and wrestle part-time, I guess, up to Mania, and Kane is going to basically call the Undertaker to come help him in that feud. I'm like, Undertaker is less than a month away from, maybe 2 months away from hip surgery. So I just don't see how that's going to legitimately happen. But in wrestling, they can make you look good where you don't take a bump or anything like that. So Kane can do all the work, and then Undertaker can kind of be the hot tag and maybe take a 1 bump or whatever if they want them to lose. But I just heard they were building that up, and I was like, that's kind of cool. But I think if you want to do the Orton and Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper thing, I just think you could, as the new Wyatt family, I think that tells a more compelling storyline. And of course, 2 third-generation wrestlers together, it just works for me.
Now, I'm going to have to go back and watch that, because that sounds awesome. I would like to see them, though, do that faction and make them baby faces. So I think there is real money in Bray Wyatt being a baby face. So maybe at some point post-Survivor Series, you could have Bray challenging AJ for the title.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Okay. What else you got from SmackDown?
Baron Corbin, they did a little video segment, and they're really driving home the fact that he's just a legit asshole. And I think it's going to get over. And I think they're building him as a monster heel, and it works because that dude legitimately just doesn't like people. So that works.
Yeah, and after having watched Breaking Ground, which he was focused on a lot, he really is. He's a dick. He really is just a piece of crap. And,
and he's going to work as a heel. Because of that.
Biggest problem is, bless his heart, is his voice. His voice just, I don't know, he has a slight lisp, and there's just something, he's this big, dude, and then he opens his mouth, and you're like, oh, seriously?
I really wish they wouldn't make him talk a lot. I just think he's a person whose physique and his size tells his story, and I just wish he wouldn't have to talk a lot. They're trying to have him talk, and people hear how douche he is. You don't really need it. Just have him beat up on a bunch of little guys. People will hate him for that.
Yeah, he's a guy who could use a mouthpiece.
See, and that's where like me, that's a common thing for me. So I was trying not to go there because I feel like I feel like the manager is an all-star, and the stables of a manager managing the same amount of people is very much a lost art. But I try not to just, spit the same ideas out there. So with him, I just hope, like I said, you can do it and you can build his character in a way where basically you can build him as, you never seem to like what I say, so why say anything?
And you know who would be a great person for him? Would be Paul Ellering.
Yeah, that would be a great person for him.
And eventually you bring up the Authors of Pain, and they wouldn't be a stable per se, because there were times back in the 80s where you would have a manager, a cornet managing multiple people, but they weren't a stable. They just all happened to be managed by Jim Cornette. Bobby Heenan the same way. He managed a lot of different people. He managed Haku and Andre the Giant at the same time. They weren't a stable. He just happened to manage both of them. So you could have Ellering, you could start having him show up. You could have him show up on SmackDown, and they build a relationship, and then Ellering's spot on SmackDown is what you eventually use to bring in the Authors of Pain. So yeah, that would be, and because I would see him, because Ellering's the kind of guy who likes to surround himself with monsters, and you want to build up Corbin as a monster, give him to Paul Ellering. Book it, WWE. Book it, WWE. So it's never going to happen.
I just, like I said, they could slowly bring the managers back if they wanted to.
Amen. So what else did you have?
Randy Orton, Baron Corbin, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, and AJ Styles is the SmackDown team. That's probably, you couldn't get 5 more people I like as much as them. And I do like that the team is basically a heel team. They're all like bad guys except Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, they really are. And that was something I wanted us to talk about is the road to Survivor Series and what they've got so far. So I've got the Cage Side Seats Survivor Series match card rumors thing up here in front of me. So before we jump into this, did you have any other topics from SmackDown?
All right. Ellsworth gives Dean the number 1 contendership. I thought that match was really well done. I like how Ellsworth ended up distracting AJ so Dean could win. It's great setup for AJ and Dean at TLC. I'm going to be there live to see it, so that's cool. It'll be my first one-on-one TLC match, I believe, that I've seen live. And, of course, it has one of my favorite wrestlers, AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose, who's a solid worker. I felt like, in honor of what our topic of our top 5 today, I'm going to give the sell job of the week to James Ellsworth, because at the end of the match, after he'd been beat up by AJ, they kind of dragged him off after AJ lost, and as he was dragging, he had a kind of an unconscious type smile on his face, and I thought Ellsworth pulled that off perfectly. He just told a complete story with one expression, so I thought that was awesome.
Oh, he is. He's fantastic at selling. He is. I'd forgotten about him when I was thinking about my list. Dang it.
He wasn't going to make my list either. I don't have enough of a sample size for him to make my list.
True. Yeah, man. Okay, so I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch SmackDown. So I'm almost if people wondering, why the hell is this guy bothering to do a podcast if he's not actually watching the shows? In my defense, I've been rewatching Alias, and when that happens, all time stops, and nothing else matters. And I'm like 3 episodes to the end. So I will have more time to do other things because, yes, I know what's going to happen. I know what Rambaldi's endgame is, and I don't care. I have to watch the damn show.
Now let me ask. I loved Alias when I watched it the first time. What do you get out of watching a show multiple times?
That's a good question, because there are some shows that I've watched beginning to end multiple times. Alias is the one I've done it most. This is probably the 6th time I've watched this show beginning to end. I think it's just, I'm a guy. I rewatch movies that I love. I rewatch shows that I love. Music, obviously, you listen to more than once. There isn't anything. I mean, occasionally there's little things here and there that you pick up new nuances that you hadn't picked up before. But for me, with Alias, it's in my top 3 favorite shows of all time, if not my favorite show of all time. And I love the performances. I love the story. I love everything about that show.
Okay.
Every once in a while, there are a few little things that I'm like, wait, really? And I think they have a very, very fast airplanes on that show, because those fuckers get from one side of the earth to another real quick. Real freaking fast. But no, I love it. And I don't know, man. It's every once in a while I just get this itch every so often. I'm like, I need to rewatch that. And as soon as I play that first episode, man, it's on. And it's just...
I have shows I want to rewatch, but there's so much new content out there that I want to experience new, as opposed to watch something I've already seen.
Yeah.
So that's why I see movies once or twice. Like Doctor Strange, I'm going to see later today. I will probably see that twice, just because I see all Marvel movies twice. But after that twice, it'll probably be years before I watch it again.
Yeah. Well, I started rewatching it right at the end of the summer, right before the fall season started. And okay. I should have started it a month earlier, because it's gone into the fall season, and I'm a week behind on all of the CW superhero shows. And I haven't watched any of Supernatural this season. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna binge it over the summer on Netflix. So I kind of now I go back and I watch older things during the summer months, because there's not new stuff on, and this just happened to be one that I started really late in the summer months. But for example, Veronica Mars is another show. If I start watching it, I have to watch all 3 seasons and then the movie, because it's that freaking good, and I can't stop watching it. So that might end up being what I do next summer, after I watch Supernatural and the final season.
I remember, Alias will be on my next, because I remember how much I love that show, and I love Sark as a character.
Oh, he's so good.
And I think I have to go back and watch that again.
And you know what? To me, everything I see Bradley Cooper in, and I love Bradley Cooper as an actor, but there's a part of me that's like, I loved him in Alias. I think of that, and Sark's the same way. I see Sark in something else, I'm like, I loved you in Alias. Victor Garber and Ron Rifkin, same way. I see those guys in something else. I see, I know he's Martin Stein in the Arrowverse, but I'm like, man, I loved you as Jack Bristow. So yes, you definitely. So let's pull it back. And let's talk about the Road to Survivor series. So we're 3 weeks out, right?
Yep.
And so
I think we're 2 weeks out from today.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks out. Okay, so far I like, in what I watched of Raw this last week, they really started to change the focus to Survivor series, and SmackDown's been doing that after their last pay-per-view. They've been working on that as well. So far, let's kind of go over the teams as we know them and what we know is going to happen. We already talked about Brock and Goldberg, so we can forget that. So the men's elimination match. So Team Raw as of right now is Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, with another person to be announced.
I'm really shocked if it's not Seth Rollins.
I know, and there were rumors that it was going to be Sami Zayn, but then there are rumors about Sami Zayn with something else that's on the card that we'll get to in a minute.
Okay.
But I mean, okay, so if it's not Seth Rollins, you got to figure it's got to be Seth Rollins, because that means at some point there will be a moment where Dean and Roman and Seth are standing in the ring, because WWE is obsessed with the legacy of the Shield.
I am too. I still wear my The Shield shirt all the time.
It was one of the coolest factions they've ever had. So it was,
Yeah.
And I think it ended too soon.
No, and let me just tell you, I don't think it ended too soon now, but that day, I mean, I could show you the Facebook post. I thought WWE was the dumbest thing ever, but what they've done with those three characters since then, it was well worth it, and their feuds are awesome.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, and if something ends and you're like, why did they end this now? It's probably in years later on down the line when you look back at it, you probably go, it was probably the right time to end that. So then the SmackDown team, as you mentioned earlier, AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and Baron Corbin, which is pretty much, with the exception of Corbin, is otherwise those four guys are the main event roster or main event echelon of SmackDown. So that makes perfect sense. I'm kind of surprised The Miz isn't in there, and I'm surprised Ziggler isn't in there, with the exception of they're doing something with Ziggler with the open challenge for the Intercontinental title, which we'll talk about here in a sec. So what do you think on this so far, looking at this potential match with the Raw versus SmackDown?
I think it has the potential to set up, of course, extend some feuds. I like the group five. I like that you have Braun Strowman in there and Baron Corbin, because there's not many people that make Baron Corbin look small, but Braun Strowman pretty much makes everybody on the roster look small. So that's going to be kind of cool, and how they're going to try to write getting rid of Braun Strowman out of the match. That's a big, heavy part, because right now they're building him up as the monster, and he hasn't taken a pin. So is he just going to lose by DQ? What they're going to do with that is very interesting to me. The whole idea of, it's been a few months since we've seen AJ Styles in the ring with Roman Reigns and all those stuff. So it is working to make a build up and excitement to see these people that don't fight each other often now fighting each other.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing a stare down between Strowman and Baron Corbin. I think could be interesting. And then the wild card is, with Strowman being a former Wyatt family member, how that's going to, if Bray and he have a moment, how that's going to affect it.
I was figuring they might, that Bray Wyatt looks at him and he puts his thumb down, and just Braun Strowman just walks off. And just bam, I'm out.
Yeah. So then we've got, let's talk about Dolph Ziggler. So Dolph Ziggler is doing an Intercontinental title open challenge to anyone from the Raw roster. I think that is a fantastic idea. Yep,
I completely agree. And I don't know what they're going to do with Cesaro and Sheamus, if they're going to be on the Raw side. I obviously think they are. My pick, if they're not going to be on, would be for Cesaro to take up the challenge, because I think him and Dolph Ziggler could put on an amazing match. But that was the only person on the roster I could think of at the time.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's either Cesaro or Sami Zayn are going to be the ones to come out. What I would like is whoever comes out and challenges, I would like that person, because I don't think they're going to beat Ziggler, but I would like it to set up something and have them traded or moved over to SmackDown. So it needs to be someone like a Cesaro, a Sami Zayn, one of these guys that could really benefit from being on SmackDown. Let's use this as an opportunity to get them over there, where they can, shine. But yeah, I think this is great. I hope in other super shows, at WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, I hope this is stuff that they do more often. So let's then talk about the tag team. So since we're not sure what's going to happen with Sheamus and Cesaro, as it stands right now, the Raw tag team is the New Day, and that's it. And SmackDown is Heath Slater and Rhino, the Hype Bros, the Usos, American Alpha, and a to be announced. So how do you think? Who do you suspect is going to end up filling out these teams?
Of course, on Raw, it'll be the New Day, Gallows and Anderson. Well, God, I got to remember every team on Raw.
Yeah, no kidding.
Cesaro and Sheamus will probably be on the team, and there'll probably be a big stink about them not wanting them on the team because they don't even get along. Enzo and Cass and the Shining Stars.
Oh, gross.
Oh, maybe R-Truth and Goldust for a little comedic factor. SmackDown, the 5th team is going to be who's not in on SmackDown. So they only got like 5 teams. That's the whole thing there.
Yeah, the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, I guess. And it's just like, it's a situation, to me, it's the perfect way to continue getting America Alpha over, as they could be the sole tag team that survives. Make me geek out, cry, scream, do all the girly things in the world. The Revival debuts at Survivor Series as the 15th from SmackDown.
Oh, don't even tease. And they would need to be on SmackDown too.
Because they're going to be there because they're doing TakeOver the day before.
Yeah.
So if you want to, do something there, the Revival shows up. And
you could have Daniel Bryan say, you know what, the 5th team is going to be a mystery. We will let you know. And can you imagine hearing their music hit?
Oh man, I mean, understand my geek level when it comes to that tag team is amazing. My whole thing is they have to do it right. If they're not as dominant on the roster as they were in NXT, I would get pissed. I would get actually angry. Not a lot can make me say I'm not going to watch a show, but doing anything other than making the Revival who they are. I'm not saying they got to win every match, but their characters only work when they're winning.
Yeah. Yeah, good call. Good call. We'll talk about them on NXT here in a sec. And then finally, we're going to have the women's elimination match. As of right now, the Team Raw is Charlotte, Bayley, and Nia Jax. And Team SmackDown is Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Naomi, with Natalya serving as a coach. I thought Charlotte, on her promo on Raw, the way she called out Nikki and Becky specifically, and then also made jabs at Alexa and Carmella, I thought that was great.
Yes.
Especially when she kind of mentioned Nikki, I know you're the captain, blah, 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 but then she really kind of hammered home on Becky, at the whole champion versus champion thing. And it's going to be a cool moment in that match when Charlotte and Becky stand off against each other. I
think Natalya's going to turn on SmackDown. That's my whole goal, my thought.
Then they could put her over on Raw. That would be good.
There you go. I think she's going to turn on SmackDown.
Good call.
Because she's not in the match. She's a coach. And it's kind of like, if they want to build it up, it is like, you're putting me in the same position I was back on the roster in NXT. You're putting all these people in front of me.
Yeah, and I think she'd be better served on Raw anyway, most likely. So does Sasha end up being in this, or is she out for a while?
I think she'll end up being in it.
So if she's in there, there's going to be a moment where Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, and Becky are the only ones standing in the ring.
Yeah.
Oh, and that will be awesome.
I mostly think this, if you're going to use Survivor Series to try to build views and get people over, I think this is the perfect time to get Naomi over.
Yeah, good call.
On Talking Smack, Renee, it's funny, she called Naomi Trinity 3 times.
Whoops. Which is her real name, right?
Yes, which is her legit name. But you could just tell it was just like either Renee was just having an off night, or she had just been talking to her before the show, but she called her Trinity 3 times.
See, that's one thing I love about Talking Smack is she often refers to Daniel Bryan as Brian.
Yeah.
And she has referred to Nikki Bella as Nicole. So they actually end up using people's real names. And you can kind of tell it's the ones that are friends in real life and probably hang out a lot.
Renee is friends with everybody. In wrestling, through dirt sheets or whatever, you can hear people having a problem with someone. I've never heard of anyone having a problem with Renee.
I haven't either. She seems just so cool.
Just so happy to be there. And I'm not a wrestler, and she's okay with not being a wrestler. I'm the voice, and she just seems just cute. And of course, she has stroke because she's with Dean Ambrose. And Dean Ambrose, every time I've met him, just like in personal life, he seems kind of like the guy that if you pissed off, he would beat you up. Like, violence does not seem like very far away from the answer for Dean Ambrose.
That, yes, and he passes the test of would you want to fight him in real life? Then the answer is no.
Yeah, he really comes off as someone that just has nothing to lose. And those are the people you don't want to fight.
Well, so I think Survivor Series is actually, it looks like it's going to be something good. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another match on there, probably a cruiserweight match.
Definitely going to be a cruiserweight match, I believe.
Yeah. So otherwise, it's a pretty good card. I just really hope they don't try to make it 4 hours. I think they're going to try to do all the super shows as 4 hours, and it's just too much. Unless you
I'm okay with it being 4 hours. I don't like the whole idea of their match being in a pre-show and then it being a 4 hours. Well, I'm okay with it being 4 hours. I've always hated the Survivor Series. Everybody's so pinnable really, really quick.
Yeah.
So if each of those matches gets about 30 to 40 minutes to actually put on a solid match, I think these could be the best Survivor Series style matches we've ever had.
Oh, well, yeah. You think about the talent that's in these matches is ridiculous.
But you just remember how they used to do Survivor Series matches. You get pinned by a body slam, because it's such time restraints trying to get all those people on.
Well, the last Survivor Series that really meant anything, the one that Ziggler won, there was that, because Big Show came out and, hit his fist to Mark Henry and pinned him like in 10 seconds. But, I mean, that's kind of legitimate. If you get punched in the jaw by the Big Show, you're probably going down for a 3 count, even if you're Mark Henry. Because
I love the Big Show's the punch. I loved it. I thought that was probably the most legitimate finisher because his hand is so large. If he punches you, you're going to the hospital for a while.
Yeah, especially when he hits it on the jaw. Because, in boxing, you get punched in the jaw, it's lights out. It's 10 count. Which is one reason why I love the super kick. Because I think if you hit a super kick and you make it look like you hit somebody on the jaw, they're gone. I mean, you are unconscious.
Sweet chin music.
Exactly. So yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to NXT before we get out of here. NXT this week, there was a lot. It was all about the Dusty Classic. What takeaways did you have?
Sucks that Aries couldn't compete. Him and Roderick Strong were my favorite tag team. I liked how they did the one-on-one match. The ending was interesting because, they're about to probably build up Roderick Strong, but he lost to one of the single members of Team 6-1, so that was kind of funny because of what's going to happen in the future. Love the Revival. I hate that Aries was out because it kind of took away from the Revival doing what they did, the old heel gimmick. I got this really bad knee injury. I can't continue. So it's like you had a legit thing and then you turn around and use it as part of the fake gimmick, which is funny or interesting that they didn't come up with a different reason. Because you just settled the match like, okay, he can't compete this week, so let's do a one-on-one match. And then you do this one, the team drops out, which was, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the difference was that, bless you, was that Aries and Strong didn't want to drop out, and the Revival just they're like, we're champs, we don't care, whatever.
Yeah, this is our Dusty Classic title right here.
Right. So I think that's the kind of storyline difference there. Man, I tell you what, Austin Aries' eye, he got messed up.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
And he had surgery or something, I heard?
Yeah, he had to have eye surgery. He broke his like orbital bone.
Oh man.
So, and even on the kick, it wasn't Nakamura's fault. It was more him trying to sell the kick, so he threw his head right into his foot.
Oh, that's just I just would never want to be hit by Nakamura.
Yeah, and he wasn't really, because if you go back and watch the video, Nakamura, you could tell, was pulling back. It was a wrong angle or something. He was pulling back, and I mean, Austin Aries, like, it looked violent. He took his head and just jammed it right into his foot.
Man.
So yeah,
freak accident.
And then, the rival left, and you got Gargano and them going on to the next round without having to wrestle, which was kind of cool. I wanted your opinion on something. Authors of Pain. I feel like they could just go to the main roster now. They do what they do well. There's not a lot for them to grow.
No, there's really not. And in fact, they should probably go ahead and go up to the main roster, because right now they could diminish the other teams in NXT that are going to be there longer for a variety of different reasons. Because they're going to they're facing, who are they facing in the next round? Do you know?
I think it's TM61.
Okay, so so here's what stinks, is TM61 is a better tag team than Authors of Pain. But they're not going to hit their finisher on Authors of Pain. So there's going to have to be something that allows them to win if they win. Because the way I see it is this is going to come down to either Authors of Pain versus Sanity at the end, or TM61 versus #DIY. It's going to come down to, now it could be a combination of Gargano and Ciampa against Authors of Pain, or Sanity against TM61, but it's either going to be TM61 against Ciampa and Gargano, or Sanity versus Authors of Pain. And at this point, somebody needs to attack Authors of Pain, take them out, and they need to either go on to some other feud or head to the main roster. Because I could see them, you put them in a match against the Hype Bros and it's going to be just fine. Well, maybe not, but you know what I mean. You put them up there and they're going to be fine. Because they're the kind of team you keep. They're not like a smarky a team that smarks are going to love. So you keep a Gargano and Ciampa down there longer because the NXT audience pays to see them. Authors of Pain are there to learn and to grow, but they are definitely the kind of team, in a lot of ways, like the Hype Bros. They're the kind of team that is going to do better on the main roster with the casual fans. So yeah, go ahead and get them up there. And sure, there's going to be the party who says, the people who go, well, why do they get to move up when Gargano and Ciampa, who are so much better, stay down there? Well, because people are actually paying to see Gargano and Ciampa on the NXT loop, where they're not paying to see the Authors of Pain, and those poor guys will probably get lost on the main roster.
And Authors of Pain pretty much squash people, and generally the smart crowd doesn't like squash matches.
So what about you? What do you're of a similar opinion, I'm guessing?
Yes. I just like, my whole thing with it, as far as pulling the Authors of Pain up, is that literally there's nowhere for them to go in NXT. There isn't. Their style, what they do, they're fairly safe. Put them on the main roster. They would do more to get someone like American Alpha or a nice face team over than they're going to do winning the NXT titles. It's not going to do anything for them. Yeah. And you could put them in as the undefeated tag team out of NXT.
Yeah, I agree. So,
I could even see them winning the Dusty Classic, but and then just going straight to the main roster. But we'll see.
And if that's the case, then you have them. Oh man, do you have them beat Sanity to win? Because Sanity needs more time. They also have a ton of main roster potential, I think, as a group. But they need a little more time. Authors of Pain, you get them on SmackDown right now with Paul Ellering, and then you have, like we talked earlier, have Paul also start working with Baron Corbin. You made perfect. You're fine. So yeah, it's. I really liked on another subject of the show. I really liked the Roderick Strong. What's his face match? I have a really hard time remembering the TM61 guys' names. There's Nick Miller and Shane Thorne.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that, and I think of the two, I think Thorne's the one with the more upside. He has a better look, and I think he's actually, both of them are really good, but I think he's a little bit better. I thought it was a good match. I liked the ending. I think because it gets Strong's first defeat out of the way without it being like a super clean win. So it made really kind of everyone ended up walking away looking good. And
and I love his backbreakers, man. I still dig those.
Oh yeah.
The one on the top, on the top where he dropped his back across the turnbuckle. Oh my God,
that was so good, and he sold it so well. Oh, that was awesome, and that because the way he flipped onto the floor. Oh,
yeah. The worst thing about Roderick Strong is I met him.
Okay, you got to tell this. You got to tell the story.
So we're at Oaklamania, and we're walking up. And this dude, just a normal looking dude, comes up, hey, and he's taking a briefcase, and he calls for me and Rusty, and he's like, hey, you know where we're supposed to go? And I look at him, I was like, you're Roderick Strong. And my first thought, you're really, really short.
He's a small dude.
Yeah, so I shook his hand, and I'm like, he's still fucking Roderick Strong, don't get me wrong, but God, he's small. So yeah, it took a lot away from what Roderick Strong was for me, and we took him back, and we took him where he's supposed to go, and we got a picture with him later, and I posted it or whatever. But he was cool. He was really down to earth, and he's just this really really cool dude. But yeah, he's really 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 short. Yeah, and it was just like, and he just looks like a normal dude. He's an alright looking dude. I would consider him a good looking dude, but it was just like, man, I couldn't wrap my head around how small he was. Cool Roderick Strong fact that actually gave him more of a thumbs up and more respect. His fiance or wife or whatever is an MMA fighter.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she is part of. I forgot her full name, but she's one of Ronda Rousey's 4 horsewomen.
Wow.
So she's a legit fighter. She trains with Ronda Rousey. And, I started following her on Twitter. And it's like, yeah, all right. And that actually made me respect her more. I'm like, hey, get an MMA fighter. Got to give you credit on that one. So, but he's really small. And before then, because I've only seen him on TV, I didn't take him as that small. I guess he wrestles bigger, or the fact that he does as many lifts as he does, he comes off stronger. But I met him, and I was just like, huh, dude.
See, I always figured he was a short guy, but in Ring of Honor, it's the land of the shorter wrestlers, where WWF, especially back in the day, was land of the giants. Ring of Honor is the land of the normal sized people.
Yes,
and so he didn't stand. It wasn't obvious that he isn't the tallest dude in the world. But yeah, he's really good. I still not sure. He's either going to be an NXT lifer or he'll do stuff in the cruiserweight division, because I think he would be a really good elder statesman for the cruiserweight division. Not that he's old, but as much as it stinks, we're probably never going to get a Seth Rollins Roderick Strong match for the Universal Championship, or an AJ Styles Roderick Strong match for the world title, as great as those would be, holy crap, can you imagine? Those would be such good matches.
I think they could get away, SmackDown or Raw could get away with doing a thing where they do like a SmackDown versus NXT pay-per-view, or a Raw versus NXT pay-per-view, where some of the guys that probably won't ever go to the main roster, you can showcase them a little bit to the people that would never you normally see them.
That's a great idea. You could almost do it like during Survivor Series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, because they have so many throwaway pay-per-views. Just do a pay-per-view where you're getting some of the NXT roster that people don't know. Like, people are probably outside, don't know Bobby Roode other than his music, and you just have them go up, and no titles be on the line. Just you may even just do it as a SmackDown, a bigger SmackDown show, which me, I'm all about. They should put more emphasis on like individual shows and be like, this is SmackDown, blah, blah, whatever this day is, it's going to be SmackDown versus NXT, where you're going to get to showcase some of the people from SmackDown the people that don't have the WWE Network get to see, and maybe you can use that as an advertisement to get the WWE Network.
That's a great idea, and you could also, it would be a really good way to kind of gauge who of these people that they didn't think would have main roster potential could have main roster potential. Because if, let's say, a Bobby Roode or a Shinsuke Nakamura comes out and the place goes bonkers, that could make Vince and company go, well, maybe we really should pull these people up.
Or you can do a Nakamura versus AJ style match, and they can actually wrestle strong style because they're both used to it.
Yep.
So it would be a different type of match than most wrestlers saw. Because believe me, the Nakamura versus Sami Zayn match, very much strong style, and it was very different from anything I'd seen. And it took me watching it like the third time before I really appreciated what they were doing.
I loved that match.
I didn't love it immediately.
Man, yeah, that match was awesome.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of strikes. That's not a thing I like.
I can see that.
I like
it. Did you have anything else from NXT from this week?
No, I thought it was overall a solid show. They have managed to make contract signings interesting. So they set up the Nakamura versus Joe's contract signing next week, and I'm actually interested and intrigued for it because they took a very old and crappy gimmick and have actually made it interesting on NXT because they don't go straight to fighting. It's like they play that borderline almost like a boxing type of thing where it's like generally they don't actually come to blows, but they look like they're going to come to blows.
Yeah, NXT is really good on the contract signing. Now, real quick, you mentioned Ronda Rousey's 4 Horsewomen. So there's been some rumblings that Ronda Rousey is saying that she's coming to the end of her MMA career, and there's also been rumblings that Stephanie McMahon is trying very hard to sign her to WWE. What do you think the chances are that we will see Ronda Rousey someday as an actual, real member of the WWE roster?
Well, as your resident Ronda Rousey stalker and person obsessed with her, I can tell you, she says her thought is that with the guy that she wants, she's like in love and wants to have his babies. So if she does wrestle, it would be for a short stint because I think she's going to have kids soon. I think that's going to be on the Ronda Rousey plate. Maybe I'm wrong, but again, we're or anything like that, but just based on how she's going and saying, okay, I want to have this guy's babies, okay, and then the next statement that really comes out about her career is that she only has a few MMA fights left. Maybe that's it, or maybe she's just trying to look for a safer line of work where she's not actually getting punched in the face for real. But I mean, if you're gonna do it, if she's gonna do it, I look forward to it, but it doesn't always translate. That's all I'm saying.
Do you think she would have a better chance translating because she is such a wrestling fan?
Yes, very much so. Having a passion for the business, I mean, you can see like the wrestlers that you see now are smaller, are more athletic, but you will also notice they are mostly lifelong fans. The people that are like the football players and all that stuff don't get used to the pain and don't necessarily have the passion for the business, don't generally make it because they have stuff they can fall back on. But people like Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho and all that, and those people that this is their life, they're going to do everything they can to make it. And Ronda Rousey, since she's been around wrestlers and know wrestlers and all that stuff, I wouldn't be shocked if she's taking bumps too. She's already been, she's already kind of went through a day of bumping. I think she would translate much easier. My whole thing is I think people would actually get black eyes because the one thing CM Punk said was the hardest transition from wrestling to MMA was letting go, actually punching someone in the face because you've been pulling punches your whole life. Well, Ronda Rousey, I'm pretty sure it's hard to go the other way.
You know what I would love though the things I would look forward to the most if she became a full-blown wrestler, I would love to see her in Asuka. Because of all because you look at her and you're like, okay, she's legitimately one of the most dangerous people in the world. I mean, you put her in there with Brock Lesnar and you'd think she might have a chance because she's that badass. So it's like you think, okay, well, Sasha could have a good match with her because Sasha is great, but no one is going to, for a million years, believe that Sasha is going to beat Ronda Rousey. Charlotte would have you could suspend your disbelief because Charlotte is so tall and is so, she is an imposing figure. And you would believe Asuka because Asuka is terrifying. Asuka definitely passes the challenge. The thing of if you see her on the street, would you fight her? The answer is, oh God, no.
I would try to date her though, because she's the fact that she's so dangerous is hot to me.
Oh, and she's a beautiful girl anyway. But yeah, and those two. I mean, even if it turned into a shoot, it's still I'm still thinking, okay, either one could walk away with this because Asuka's that much of a badass.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Well, Ronda, I don't think it would take a lot to turn it into a shoot for her.
No. And you're probably right. That's probably going to be the hardest thing. I mean, probably somebody like Ken Shamrock would be the person to talk to about that transition from MMA to wrestling. How hard is it to learn to pull your punches?
I think that's why he wore gloves, because that helped with him pulling punches.
Now, did he wear gloves when he was fighting in the cage?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to wear gloves in the cage.
Okay.
Well, not originally, not in the first UFC fights, but now, yeah, you have to wear gloves.
Because you could talk to somebody like, obviously get Brock's opinion or Lashley's opinion on what it's like going from wrestling into MMA, but the other direction, there haven't been as many. I think WWE signed somebody recently who is a former MMA fighter, but there haven't been a whole ton, so yeah, it would be an interesting transition for...
Yeah, I mean, her first match would have to be like WrestleMania for the title.
Unless it's against Stephanie.
Yeah, unless it's against Stephanie. But yeah, if you're going to use that, you're going to cash it in, you're going to probably pay her what she requires. You're going to try to get that big buy rate increase by... her debut needs to be at a WrestleMania.
God, so fantasy book this. Next year's WrestleMania, she challenges Charlotte and she wins.
Yeah.
The next night on Raw, Asuka shows up and challenges her.
I dig it.
Yeah, I mean that might be doing too much all at once, but that would be incredible. All right, well, let's move on to our final topic of the day, our top 5 sellers. So these are by what we mean by selling. We're not talking about people pushing the drugs. No, we're talking about people who are really good at taking a punch and making it look awesome. So, did you have any honorable mentions?
I have 2 honorable mentions.
Okay, who are they?
Again, because I'm all about equality and I love the ladies. I gotta give my first honorable mention to Sasha. We've talked much about her and her ability to sell. And my idea on selling is if you can take a move that looks lame and make it look like it's crushing your soul. And she does that with the Bailey to Bailey suplex. And another unsung hero of the selling world, I had to give a shout out to all the referees by putting this, because every referee has to sell. Like they barely get hit and they're knocked out for 5 minutes. And every referee has to sell. And me going back and researching, that was one thing I noticed. Earl Hebner in his time was as good as anyone. So it's more of a all-encompassing for all the referees that had to sell. But the name I'm going to put on it is Earl Hebner.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, I have actually 4 honorable mentions, and they are all newer, current people.
Okay.
And one of them is Neville.
Okay.
And I put him in there mostly for this one move he took in a match against Kevin Owens. Kevin hit him with some kind of DDT. I think it was a tornado DDT. And he landed on his head, ended up flipping onto his feet, and then falling flat on his face.
Yes, I remember that spot.
And that was so good. My next one is Johnny Gargano. That man is great at the whole I'm dying and I'm trying to pull myself up the ropes to come back. My next one, speaking of all about equality, is Bailey. I think she's a good seller. You'll notice 3 of these are lovable losers. And my final is your favorite wrestler in the world, Sami Zayn. I think that he's actually a really good... I think all 3 of these, and I should just put them all together. These are your lovable losers who are really good at getting the crap beat out of them and then dragging themselves up off of their knees to continue a match. So those are my honorable mentions.
All right.
Yeah, who is your number 5?
My number 5 and is the hardcore legend Mick Foley.
Oh, I didn't even think about him.
Damn. Yeah, what he did with The Undertaker and all the sells, and he was they call him a stuntman. Most people, that's like a knock on him, but it's not a knock. When you're a wrestler, I will take the beatings that no one else will take, and that should be commended, not looked down upon.
Agreed. Yeah, I didn't even see in my thought process, I wasn't thinking about like brutal, getting cut up and bloodied and stuff. I was thinking more of in matches, people who just, and it'll be kind of evident as you look at my list. But people who really just take a beating well in a standard match. So my number 5 is one of your honorable mentions, and that is Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay, number 4.
Number 4 for me was, of course, because I always have to go back to the 80s and get someone that not a lot of people might recognize for what they did. He is the second generation wrestler, Tully Blanchard.
Oh, man.
He was a ring general, and what they used to do is when he was a TV champion or whatever, they used to put him in with Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes. They would put him against those because he could take a beating and he would make it look like he was dying, and it would get that big guy over before he would go do a feud or a session with Ric Flair.
Man, that's a good one. Man, damn it. I should have had Tully on my list. All right. Well, my number 4, also speaking of the 80s, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
I completely agree with that. I mean, he's one of the guys. When he had, and let me just say this, he was a short body guy. He had one of the best physiques, like, ever. For someone that was that, he wasn't short, but he wasn't tall. But he was always put together.
Yes. Yeah, it was, he was, and that was right before everyone was bodybuilder cut, because they were, at the time, because Hogan had big arms, but, he never looked like, you would never mistake him for a Mr. Olympian. But so he was one of the first ones, him, Rick Rude, were some of those first guys that had your 6-pack abs and the whole 9 yards. But he would, I just think back to him getting his throat destroyed by Macho Man, and then all those matches.
And I know I was young, but I thought he died. I thought they had a broken neck and he wasn't going to ever wrestle again.
Oh yeah, that was traumatic for 8-year-old me. And then his matches with Flair, just good stuff. So who is your number 3?
Number 3 is the only actual current wrestler on the list. And it's honestly been used mostly, I like to set it up a little bit, but it's been mostly used as a knock against him. A reason that he's not in the main event is because he's so good at making other guys look good. You have to give it to the show-off Dolph Ziggler.
And Dolph Ziggler is also my number 3.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You just can't talk about selling and not put him in the upper echelons of greatest salesman in the wrestling industry ever. He is that stinking good.
That was his. He is so good at making people, whether they're normal, and the fact that he'll do it for anyone. If he got in a match with James Ellsworth, if he did the no chin music on him, and he would kick out. And it was just like, what people don't understand a lot with it, selling for someone makes you look better. Because when you sell, it makes it looks like you can take the worst that any man that can dish out. So selling gets you over more.
Oh yeah, selling is one of the best art forms, and it's just not appreciated, I think, enough. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, who is your number 2?
Number 2. Hopefully it's not the same one, but maybe the greatest to ever do it, period. The Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Great minds. My number 2 is Ric Flair.
I'm guessing our number 1 is going to be the same also.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Yeah, God, Ric Flair is arguably the greatest of all time. And he sells so well. And it's just everything, the Flair flop, the flip in the corner, all of it.
His white hair worked so well for blood because it made it look so much worse. Because his hair would turn red because he'd be bleeding so bad.
Now, was that haircut? Is that his hair, his natural hair color, or how much?
I imagine he'd be bald now if it wasn't.
Because the amount of peroxide
that it would take to keep his hair that white.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's just his hair.
Man, yeah. So that hair, and anytime I see platinum blonde like that, I immediately think of him.
Yeah.
And I refer to that as Ric Flair hair.
Exactly. His hair is white.
And then what's messed up though is because Ric Flair is actually surprisingly well known outside of wrestling circles because unlike Hogan, unlike Rock, unlike even Austin, Ric Flair was never had a ton of crossover, appeal or maybe opportunity is the right word. But a lot of people do know him, but then you run into the occasional person who doesn't, and you're like, how do you not know Ric Flair?
He was everybody's dad and uncle's favorite wrestler.
Yes, he was.
He was my dad's favorite wrestler. He'd talk about Ric Flair, and it was like how Babe Ruth was passed along to kids in baseball. That's how Ric Flair was. Because, I was born in 81. I didn't probably start appreciating Ric Flair at about 87 at least, right? He's already in his 40s, or late 30s at that point. So most of the stories about how awesome Ric Flair was came from my dad and my brother, and then my uncles and all of them, all the older guys that really love Ric Flair. And another thing that I think got Ric Flair over more than anything was YouTube.
Yeah.
Because of the promos and all that stuff that you can just watch on a clip now. You got all these football players that are in their 20s, right? They never really saw Ric Flair wrestle during his prime. They weren't even born during Ric Flair's prime. But they can go watch a YouTube video and they can see him talk about being his Rolexes and his crocodiles, and then of course their dads, their uncles, probably even some of their moms said, man, when it came to wrestling, there was Ric Flair and there was Hulk Hogan. Because when I was young, that's who it was.
Yeah, that was it was always those two, and that made when he showed up on WWF TV, especially when he had the big gold belt with him. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was so cool. I remember geeking out so hard for seeing Bobby Heenan holding that on Superstars or whatever it was, talking about the real world champion coming. I'm looking at him like, holy fuck, that's the NWA title. How is the NWA title on WWF TV? How worlds colliding? Screaming like George Costanza, worlds colliding. It was so good.
I was going to say, and a big thing about that with the whole situation is another reason sometimes I hate Hulk Hogan is because of that. When he came to WWF, that should have been the main event at the next two WrestleManias. And that should have been tearing places down. Them trading wins back and forth, Ric Flair cheating to win, Hogan winning. It could have been magic, but Hogan wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, and it was. Did they in WWF back in the day? Did they ever really have any matches?
No, they never wrestled once on TV.
And of course, by the time they they were back. They were in WCW, and Hogan came to WCW. He had that super contract, and that was one of the big downfalls of the Bischoff era of WCW was their mistreatment of Ric Flair. And I'm sure he was kind of a bitch at times and a drama queen. So it's not 100% on Hogan, but the fact that just Hogan can beat him repeatedly in WCW is just a crime. And it just, that goes to the whole screw-ups of Hulk Hogan being just suck.
Hey, have wins and losses in your contract, man. He had complete control of his character. He never had to lose unless he wanted to.
Which is just idiotic.
When you're WCW and you're trying to compete, they didn't have a choice.
But I mean...
You get 35-year-old Michael Jordan, right? Yeah, he's won all the championships, but he's still Jordan. And he wants to come to your basketball team. But guess what? He only wants to play home games. You give Michael Jordan that contract. Hulk Hogan is the Michael Jordan of wrestling. You give him whatever contract he asked for.
Yeah.
Because you know what? He didn't need it.
True. You say he didn't need it. WWF wasn't, chomping at the bit to re-sign him. at that time.
But I'm saying he had made plenty of money. His name still carried a cachet where he could make money off of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see how they would think that they needed to do whatever he wanted to bring him in. It's, in hindsight, obviously that was probably not the best decision in the world, because really Hall and Nash were a much bigger deal coming in. I mean, I guess to some extent it gave WCW some legitimacy in the mainstream eyes by getting Hogan and Savage. So, yeah. Well, let's go on to our number one top seller of all time, which I'll be shocked if it's not the same. But number one is for you.
The Hall of Famer, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, same here. I mean, just that match with Hogan alone, where he oversold, comically oversold, and I think that's what some of his best stuff was, his comic overselling.
Well, and it did. And everybody's like, they make fun of it and they say he was angry and that's why he did it. And that may have very well been the case. But you know what he did for that match? Hogan didn't have to take many bumps. And the reason he didn't have to take bumps is because Shawn sold so well for him that it made the match entertaining, even though for the most part it was one-sided.
Yeah, that you're 100% right. It was because at that point Hogan really shouldn't have been taking bumps anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, his Shawn Michaels' ability to sell, and as far as he's going down as not only one of the greatest just in ring talents, but he'll be one of the greatest of all time. He was never the star that a Hogan or a Rock was. But he certainly does circles around Hogan, if not The Rock. The Rock was good in the ring, but he's no Shawn Michaels. So yeah, I question anyone. And now everyone has differing opinions; it's all subjective. But if you're talking about the greatest sellers of all time, and Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels aren't your top two, and you could flip the order, but if they're not your top two, I'm just going to sit back and wonder what you're actually watching.
Yeah, I want to know. I mean, it's one of those questions you would ask: do you like wrestling? Because this seems pretty freaking obvious.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're just some super hardcore uber wrestling nerd that has seen some real obscure stuff, you've seen everything New Japan's ever done, and they're just people we don't know about that are out there, then maybe I looked up a list in my research, and they had the Crippler Ray Stevens as number one. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I ever saw him wrestle. So maybe he was the greatest seller. Maybe every time he got punched, I thought he died. But I've never seen him wrestle. So I haven't either.
He can't be on my list. I mean, to me, that's very important for every list that I have. It's never a story I heard. It's someone I saw and I noticed, and what they did affected me.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be your list,
Or otherwise, it wouldn't be my list. It would be like, man, I heard this guy could really sell. Did you ever watch him wrestle? No, he died before I was born, but...
Yeah, that would be like if we put George Hackenschmidt on this list.
Yeah.
And none of us have ever seen George Hackenschmidt. There are no videos of George Hackenschmidt. It doesn't happen. You can read about it, but I pulled out an old school one there. Whew.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, even back in the days, wrestling was just this stage, but no one questioned it. So they must have been selling really, really well.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't know because I never saw it.
Exactly. Well, this kind of brings us to the end. Now, we need to discuss real quickly what our list next week is going to be. We've had a couple that we've been talking about as potential. I had a new idea recently that I think is something a little different than what we've been talking about. So I wanted to see what you thought of this.
Okay.
I was thinking of top 5 title belts.
As in the design
Of the belts. The what you thought of the coolest looking championship belts.
I'm going to have my 5, and I'm probably going to have like 5 honorable mentions, but I'm down.
Okay.
Because that is like, I mean, when you were young, that was everything to me, personally, the belts. It was like whether you had a belt or not had a belt. It was like one time Vince Russo said in an interview, and he called the belt a prop. I literally wanted to kill that man.
Yes.
Yeah, that to me was such a level of disrespect that I wanted to kill him. I didn't, of course. I wouldn't, but it was just one of those things. It was just like, that's just a complete disrespect for the business, because the belts mean everything. They're who you're paying to see, either paying to see win or paying to see get their ass kicked.
Exactly. So that's what we will talk about next week, our favorite title belts. And I've already got a few down on my list.
I already know what my number 1 is off the top of my head, so it works.
All right. Well, good. We will talk about that next week. And was there anything else, anything in the news or anything you wanted to discuss before we get out of here?
No, I think I was going to bring up the 205 Live, but guess what? Don't need to, because we talked about it already, so we're all good.
Awesome. Well, where can people find you online, Floyd?
You can find me at Facebook, Floyd Johnson Jr., just under my real name. Twitter, at Floyd Johnson Jr. And you can follow me on Instagram at IntenseCA. That's NTENSECA. You can send questions, comments, anything. I love input, and I would like to get more of it.
Yes, very good. Yes, I like input as well, so it'd be nice to hear what you guys are thinking. If you have any thoughts on the show, you can find me at on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Oklahoma Lefty. You can also read my musings about music, and it's coming close to that time of the year. The end of the year lists are coming out for my favorite records of the year. I'm doing lots of work on that, thinking hard, so that's going to be coming up. That'll be at oklahomalefty.com. You can follow the show on Facebook and Twitter at Around the Ring OK. Our homepage is aroundtheringok.wordpress.com, where you can find current and past episodes, and you can always send us an email, aroundtheringok@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, we would love to hear from you. So that's all I got for this week. You got anything else, Floyd?
That's it.
All right, we are out of here. We will see you guys next Sunday. Be safe and have a good one.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view and believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
That sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.